informative. Change. The time is now and the place is here. Andrea Williams on Irie FM.
All right, after this, going to be going to the United States to speak with the lead attorney on the Buju Banton case, Attorney Chokwe Lumumba, to look briefly at the new developments in the case. Chokwe Lumumba, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us on Running African.
Good morning. How are you doing?
We're doing pretty well, and you?
Doing well, and good morning to your listening audience.
All right, good to have you on the program. We've been keeping our ears and our eyes very close to the developments on the Buju Banton case. And to say quickly that there is a new development in this case coming on the heels of the press conference last Monday. Could you tell us what that new development is?
We're going to have a hearing on December 20th in Tampa, Florida, at the federal court. The hearing is going to concern the misconduct of a juror. There's a juror who has admitted that she did independent research on the Buju Banton case while the case was still going on. And that, of course, is against judges' instructions and against the court rules. And so because of that, if this affected Buju Banton's trial, then we will have an opportunity to get a new trial. So that's what we're working on. We're working on preparing for this hearing.
All right, a few things. Remind our listeners, some do know, some might have been hearing this for the first time. When we say a misconduct on the part of a juror, can you elaborate on that? Tell us exactly what happened in terms of what that juror
Anytime, this juror has admitted that sometime during the trial, like I indicated, she did independent research. She went home and did independent research on her computer or some other kind of way on the issues in the case. And any time that happens, that's against the instructions which the judge gives you. You're only supposed to pay attention, as far as the case is concerned, to the evidence which is presented in court and to the law which the judge gives you in court. Anytime that you do anything else or include anything else in your decision making, that's inappropriate. And so that's the whole issue here, whether or not the juror made inappropriate inquiries into the case outside of court.
And what are the likely outcomes of such an inquiry?
Well, what we're interested in is that if she has done so, and that can be revealed to the court, then what would happen is that we'd ask the court to grant Buju Banton a new trial. And that's what we're looking for, a new trial. One free from bias or independent research or any of those things. So that's what is the outcome that we will be looking for. Right.
In terms of a likely scenario, I understand what you're looking for, and in terms of the defense for Buju, but in terms of the likely scenarios, how, and I'm asking you to speculate, which I probably shouldn't do, but how could this play out? What are the numbers of ways in which this could play out, the evidentiary?
Well, there's two ways it can play out. Either the judge will grant our request or the judge would deny our request. The judge will say that she either didn't do the research or she did do the research and it didn't hurt his case in any kind of way. Mm-hmm. If the judge said that, then they would deny our motion. Of course, we would appeal this denial of our motion to the 11th Circuit Court of Appeal. And if they don't give us relief, then we will appeal that up to the Supreme Court of the United States. Mm-hmm. So those are, that's one thing that could happen. And the other thing is that he could grant our motion. And if he grants our motion, then he will have a new trial. Now, the only caveat to that, or exception to that, would be if he grants our motion, the prosecution also has a right to appeal to the 11th Circuit if, in fact, they're displeased with the judge's ruling. Right?
Mm-hmm. All right. You have said, and we carried an interview with you last week, speaking with another U.S. Interviewer, and one of the things you said in that, in terms of getting a new trial for Buju, that there are a few things that are required, and you spoke specifically to getting this out in the public sphere, having the public writing to the relevant authorities and so on. Could you tell us a little bit about what that would entail and why is it necessary?
Well, it's important that all the supporters of Buju Banton, get involved the best way they can. And one of the ways they can get involved is to write letters to the Supreme Court of the United States, urging this court to entertain Buju Banton's case on review, should it be necessary for the court to entertain it. Of course, if this new trial motion is granted, it might not be necessary, but we're assuming still that we may need this help. So that's one way they can help. Second is just to spread the word and make people aware of the fact that Buju is a victim of a very unjust conviction, that he was convicted because a $3.5 million informant picked him out and decided to fly with him from Korea to the United States. And in the course of that travel and subsequent to that travel, made attempts to get Buju involved in some drug transactions, which Buju refused to do. And then when this informant flipped over and started dealing with Buju's friend and another person who Buju didn't even know, the United States government acted as if Buju was still involved, and that's why he's been convicted of this crime. So that's a very unjust situation, and we need to let everybody know about it. And they can help us, because if we do have to go to the Supreme Court of the United States, it would be important that the Supreme Court knows that this is a case that should be considered. They don't have to hear a case that's brought to them, but the more interest, public interest in the case, the more chance is that they will hear it. So that's one thing. The second thing is, if our new trial is granted, it will still be good for people to know that this is a man who is widely supported, and many of us, most of us, think that he is not guilty of what he's charged with, and that the situations in his first trial were totally inappropriate in terms of what caused his conviction. Mm-hmm. So all that kind of public scrutiny, I think, is important in this case, and something that will help us.
In terms of the public gaining access to these talking points, and the Jamaican public in particular, who would want to immediately begin to write letters, how can they access these talking points?
Well, right now they can call my phone at 601-353-4455, 601-353-4455, and we can put them in touch with the Buju Banton Committee. I'm sorry, but I don't have readily available to me the website number for the Buju Banton Committee, and I'm sure you can get that.
We can get that. Okay. All right, so we'll make that available also to our listeners. And finally, back to the evidentiary hearing that's scheduled for December 20. Who will be present?
Well, anybody who wants to come, we would love to hear. We'd love to see a large crowd of people there in support of Buju Banton. Mm-hmm. It's in Tampa, Florida, and it's going to be at 9 o'clock on the 20th of December. Mm-hmm. But he will certainly be there. Buju Banton will be there. His attorneys will be there. And the juror who is in question will be there. The judge has also selected 3 other jurors to be there. And my assumption is that the judge is going to inquire into them as to whether or not they knew about this independent research and was affected by it in any kind of way. Right.
All right. Okay, so thank you very much, Chokwe Lumumba, attorney at law and lead attorney on the Buju Banton case. We'll keep our fingers close to this, and thank you for making yourself available in terms of getting us the information. We certainly will keep in touch.
All right, well, thank you very much for publicizing the case and keeping people informed, okay?
No problem. All right, attorney at law Chokwe Lumumba there, national chairman and co-founder of the New African People's Organization. And as we said before, he has served as chairperson since its inception in 1984, having been re-elected to the position in 2004. And he's now representing Buju Banton. So